Utah, give me 2.
What is up, everybody? Mike Virginia here with the Pallazzo Podcast. 2 L's, 2 Z's. Joined with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Britton Allan. 2 T's, 2 L's. Britton, how are you, buddy?
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I am pumped. I'm excited. I actually made notes. Look at this.
Oh, boy.
Not only notes, but I used my daughter's glitter pen, so they're fancy.
Nice, dude. I'm excited.
She's got 19 glitter pens, so she let me borrow one. So
how nice
I glittered up all kinds of names of people I'm trying to pick up in all my Fab leagues. But how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I had a disastrous Friday night in terms of my home league team. I hit like 100. I know it's going to sound crazy, but my team collective average was like 100. Like nobody hit. And it wrecked my ratios in the hitting category. So it looks like I'm going to be screwed this week. But hey, you take your licks, you take the punches and you roll on, right? We got a couple more weeks until playoffs in this league. So,
it's every now and then you get one of those, 1 for 35 days.
Crazy.
And like, I was like, why even just forget that one hit? Like, I don't even want it.
Right.
Just make it 0 for 36 and we'll call it a day.
That's kind of what I wanted it to happen. So
it
was just frustrating.
When I was a waiter, I waited tables when I was 18 years old in Jackson at the Shoney's, and I had one table, and it was 2 women and 12 kids, and it was an utter disaster. Yeah. Every kid wanted something different to drink, and they left the biggest mess you've ever seen. There was a pancake on the ceiling. I had to get up on the table and scrape it off. And I can't remember what their bill was, but they tipped me $1. and they not only that, they went and paid the check at the cashier, and they left that $1 bill like crumpled in a ball, like in the middle of the table.
Oh my God, dude!
I was like, I don't even want it. I literally just, I put it, I had to bust on tables, so I literally just went like this, and I carried it.
I would have been so pissed, dude. I would have thrown that crumpled dollar bill and chucked it at the woman's head.
One thing waiting tables made me understand, and I learned it at a young lesson, is that people are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
The Gen Pop is awful. And every now and then I had a good table, like nice people, like normal people. But most of it was just, the worst. And I don't know if that's a Shoney's thing, or whatever. But I'll be, in all fairness, I was a terrible waiter.
Maybe the dollar was warranted then.
Yeah, I have 2 daughters, and I can't decide if I want them to wait tables when they turn 18 or 16 or whatever it is, because I think everybody should, just to get an idea of how hard that job is. So when you go out to a restaurant, you got to tip your waiter or your waiters. Like I think there's a Dante wrote Inferno, and there are 9 rings of hell. Bad tippers are somewhere in there. They're in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I waited tables when I was in college, 21, I believe, 21 or 22, and I'll never do it again. It's a local mom and pop restaurant around here. I still go to it this day, but I will never, ever, ever wait tables ever again. We could tell back and forth stories about just asshole customers left and right.
I was 18, Mike. I was a kid, and I had one dude like literally threaten me because the bacon wasn't coming out fast enough to the breakfast buffet. Can you imagine being a grown man threatening an 18-year-old kid?
I would have taken that bacon and shoved it up his ass as well.
His wife was real hungry.
I can only imagine. Well, that makes sense then. She was
real hungry.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you guys so much for joining on today's show. Appreciate you guys being here. Looks like we already got the original OG crew in here. We got Mike Pena, we got Eddie, we got Pistol, we got Charles. Sure I'm leaving some people out here. Nope, that looks about it. Fantasy Sports is here with us today as well. So we'll get to y'all's questions. That's the point of today's show, obviously. Get you ready for next week. So if you guys got questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat here. We'll beam them up on the screen. Try to help you out as best we can. Hey, real quick, while you guys are watching the show, if you guys don't mind, head over to the Pallazzo Podcast Twitter page or my Twitter page. Retweet this out, and get your buddies in here as well. Try to get as many viewers as we can. New watchers, new subscribers, new likers, whatever you want to call it. We want this place rocking on Sundays. So if you guys wouldn't mind doing us that favor, that'd be great. But Britton, let's get into the meat of the show here, my friend. I want to go over the schedule real quick and then the hitter matchups. Schedule this week, there's 6 teams that have 7 games. That's the Braves, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Twins, and the Rangers. There are 2 teams that have 5 games, and that's the Marlins and Oakland. Everybody else has 6. So, again, probably worth mentioning if you're playing weekly lineups, volume is key here. So you're going to want to play the teams that have more games. Obviously, if you're deciding between maybe a six game team and a 5-game team, you'll obviously pick the 6-gamer. So I'll tweet all this out later tonight. The friendliest hitter matchup subject to change depending on how the bullpens work today and the starting rotations. The friendliest hitter matchup next week is the New York Mets, followed by the Padres, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, and the Marlins. And the hardest hitter matchups, again, subject to change, Pirates, Tigers, White Sox, Angels, and the Kansas City Royals. So, Britton, without further ado here, let's get into some hitters. What's
real quick, just to back up what you just said. So like the Oakland A's, for instance, they have 5 games this week. Plus they're slumping. They're all slumping. Super hot July turned into a super cold August. Lawrence Butler, JJ Bleday, Max Schumann. You can bench all those guys. You don't. Plus, they're going to Citi Field in New York to play the Mets. That's a terrible place to hit. So if you bench all those guys, if you can, if you got a weekly thing, just hell, I think they're droppable. Maybe not Lawrence Butler. Put him on your bench or something. But one of the hitters, if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and go.
Please. Yeah.
Is one of my favorite hitters to pick up is Alex Call. He's an outfielder for the Nationals.
That was one of mine.
He was one of yours. All right. So the Nationals traded Jesse Winker and Lane Thomas, and Alex Call is going to be a full-time outfielder. He's had multiple hits in 5 games. And I know that sounds crazy, but I looked it up. He literally has multiple hits in the last 5 games. So you're going to get batting average. He scores runs, 5 RBI, 1 stolen base. Not a power guy, but at least 4 other cats is what he contributes to. And he's batting leadoff. He's batting leadoff right now today as the game has already started against the Los Angeles Angels. So Alex Call plus. So he's got playing time. He can hit. He's hot. He's batting leadoff. So I think he's absolutely a must have just to see where it goes. Plus, you get to say things like "last call for alcohol," which I may or may not have heard that many times over the course of my life, including in Knoxville, Tennessee, at the tap room where Mike and Larry operated a bar on campus on the Strip called the Tap Room, where they regularly served underage college kids. Thank you, Mike and Larry.
Wow.
And at 3 a.m., Mike or Larry would go, "Last call for alcohol. You don't have to quit drinking, but you can't drink here." And then he would shuffle us all out, and then we would be back the next night. So this is the Alex Call last call. Like he's going to get snatched up like real quick. You can't have 5 multi-hit games and not get snatched. So go grab that dude.
Yeah, that was one of my guys. One guy that I want to mention on here for me, my first guy, if he's available, and again, 64% rostered in Yahoo leagues. So he will be back next week, it looks like. But Mr. Max Muncy of the Los Angeles Dodgers, his roster percentage has grown over the past couple of days, but he's only 64% rostered. So he should be floating around out there in some of your leagues. I would make sure that he's rostered because he does look like he's coming back. Obviously, you're going to want a piece of this Dodgers lineup. Mookie Betts also is returning on Monday as well, so they're going to get Mookie. They're going to get Max Muncy back. Obviously, Teoscar, Freddie Freeman. That lineup is going to look good. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani. So plenty of spots to drive in some runs there. The Dodgers have been waiting for these guys to come back. So make sure Max Muncy's not floating around out there. I believe he roped an RBI double in his first at-bat yesterday, but I could be mistaken. I know he hit a double. I just don't know where it was. But he'll be back probably by the end of next week, probably ready for next weekend. I would imagine they're going to give him some more run there down in the minors. But Alex Call was also my number 2, only 11% rostered in Yahoo. So make sure he's picked up as well.
Yeah, I remember Max Muncy. For many years, the Oakland Athletics had their AAA affiliate in Nashville, the Nashville Sounds. Now it's the Brewers. But I'll never forget me sitting in my friend watching the Oakland A's AAA people, and this short little stocky guy walked right in front of us, and my friend was like, "Hey, do you know who's that guy? Is he worth a shit?" And I go, "No, He's a backup catcher named Max Muncy. He's a dumpy little dude. He ain't going to amount to shit." Whoops. Failure. I couldn't be more wrong. He's having a great career and he's coming back. And man, have you looked at the Dodgers lineup? I look at all the lineups every single day. Have you looked at the Dodgers lineup?
Yes.
It's hilarious. Like, I mean, obviously you've got Ohtani, Freeman, and
Gavin Lux.
Yeah, you got Gavin Lux batting fourth, and rightfully so. He's been on a super, super hot streak. And as much as we make fun of Gavin Lux, and I love making fun of Gavin Lux because he's such a turd, but no, I'm sure he's fine. But he has been super hot. I mean, there's no way around it. And he's been hitting the ball a lot harder than he's ever hit it before. So maybe he's figured it out. So But that's Max Muncy is going to slot right back in. Hitting top 5. Mookie is going to Mookie. So,
well,
I think that's a great call.
I appreciate that. And did you actually know there are actually 2 Max Muncys, and one of them does play for the Oakland Athletics, and the other one plays for the Dodgers right now.
Yeah.
So the Max
Muncy. I wish I could claim I had it confused, but this was literally like 7 years ago. But
got it. Yeah, he's still playing, and I remember last year when when you searched Max Muncy's name, Yahoo did a terrible job. It was literally the picture of Max Muncy, the real Max Muncy, with an Oakland Athletics hat on.
That's hilarious.
It was terrible. And it was one of the funniest things I've ever experienced in fantasy baseball. But yeah, he's still active. He's actually with AAA affiliate of the A's, the Las Vegas Aviators. So he's actually having a pretty strong season, hitting 292, 10 home runs, 33 RBI. So maybe he, in fact, is the real Max Muncy.
Well, it could be doppelganger situation.
Exactly. Who's the next guy on your list here, Britton? Who are you looking to add for a hitter?
Do you mind if I switch to a pitcher?
Please go ahead. Quick?
I think everybody, and regardless of points, roto, whatever your situation is, Paul Blackburn for the Mets has to be picked up and started this week. Okay, so he got traded to the Mets from the aforementioned Athletics. And it's 2 starts with the Mets, 6 innings pitched, 6 Ks each game. And this week he's got 2 starts against the A's, his former team. He's going to do well, and then the Marlins. You can't beat a 2-start week with the A's and the Marlins. So Paul Blackburn, he should be available. Hopefully, go see real quick, because that sounds like 2 wins right there from a dude off the waiver wire. So Paul Blackburn for the Mets is somebody I'm racing out to add everywhere.
There you go. I like that. The first pitcher on my list, Britton and Robbie, if you're listening, Mr. Spencer Arrighetti of the Houston Astros.
Yeah, now, 13 Ks.
That's 25 strikeouts in 2 starts that he's had. So maybe he's like a fine wine. He gets better with age and as he gets a little bit more going here. But Spencer Arrighetti, only 26% rostered in Yahoo leagues. I think at this point, we talked about it, Carpe Diem, baby, which means
eat the beignets.
Yep. He's been great over his last 2 starts. And just in case this is for real and he's figured something out, looks like they're fixing Yusei Kikuchi. They fixed Hunter Brown. Maybe Arrighetti is also next in line here. So 25 strikeouts in 2 games. That's something to take note of and roster, in my opinion, especially in your 12 teamers or deeper. He should already probably be owned in deep formats, but in dynasty leagues. But 12 teamers, I think he needs to be rostered. So
100%. And those 13 Ks from yesterday were against the Boston Red Sox in Fenway. Those weren't cheap. Those aren't this wasn't the Colorado Rockies at home. Okay, this was the Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
Struck out Devers 3 times. Like, that's legit.
Yep.
So I think that's a great pick. I love Spencer Arrighetti for the Astros. I love Paul Blackburn for the Mets. One other guy I want to mention, and Mike V might have post-traumatic stress syndrome from Tyler Phillips from a couple weeks ago when he went against the Mariners. What up, Mariners? I'm wearing my Mariners shirt in honor of their win last night. I had the Mariners parlayed with the Dodgers to get even for the day. It had been a rough day, but they came through for me.
There you go.
0 balance. Love you, baby. All right. So Tyler Phillips is a starting pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. His first 3 starts, he went 3-0. Including a complete game shutout, which, of course, he followed up with getting absolutely
destroyed,
hurt.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else, but I want to try to keep this to a family show. But let's just say what happened to him is illegal in most states, frowned upon in all states. Anyway, so he went like 1 inning with 8 earned runs. I mean, talking about like the Titanic hitting the iceberg and 3,000 people at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Like, it was a disaster.
Yep.
So anyway, but then he followed that up with at the Dodgers, and he did 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 3 Ks. Okay, not great, but he did get the win. He plays for the Phillies. He's got a good shot at getting the win anytime he goes out. So I think he just kind of gotta just kind of wipe the slate clean and say, look, out of 4 starts, you got a great one, a really bad one, and then good ones. So more good than bad. So I would give Tyler Phillips for the Phillies another start. And I thought I wrote down who they play. It was a decent matchup. I'll look it up here in a second. But what do you think? Am I crazy? Do I need to let Tyler Phillips go like Kate Winslet let Jack go?
I don't know. I think it depends on league size. I think in deeper leagues, like 14 plus, I think he's worth rostering, maybe in some competitive 12 teamers, depending on how deep the rosters are. But yeah, I mean, I think he's matchup based. I think he's matchup based. He just that start against, I can't remember who it was.
Seattle.
He run Seattle, and then his most recent start too. Like, it sounds like he's susceptible to the long ball as well, and he gives up a lot of hard contact. So if he plays earlier in the week, I might be more okay with doing that. And it would have to be the right matchup. That's just my take on Phillips, only because he burned my ass so bad that he burned all the ass hair off my butt. So
it was amazingly terrible, shockingly terrible. I ate that start in three of my leagues, one of which was TGFBI, which I dropped me from like 12th overall to like 19th overall. Oof. Like in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
But it happens, unfortunately. So I'm not going to drop him. I'm going to hang on to him and start him one more time, see what happens.
There you go. All right, we'll get some of y'all's questions here. Thank you all for being patient here. Fantasy Sports wants to know, is Devin Williams still on a limit of not throwing back-to-back days? Do you think this will change, and who would you rather have rest of the season? I don't need to see anybody else. Devin Williams is my answer. I like Ryan Walker and Justin Martinez. I would rank them in the order that you have them in their Fantasy Sports. Devin Williams for me is he's top 2 closer in all of baseball. And the Brewers are really good, leading the division. But at the same time, too, I think Ryan Walker deserves a roster spot. I know a lot of people are high on Justin Martinez. I do think Paul Sewald gets that job back. I've already made this clear. But Justin Martinez looks good as well. I think for maybe another week or so, it's probably Justin Martinez's job. But Ryan Walker, as everybody knows, shocking news, Camilo Doval got optioned back down to AAA, back down, meaning he got demoted. So he's going to work on some things in terms of control. I do think Camilo Doval comes back in the next couple of weeks as well. If you're able to hold on to him, I would. But they just didn't gave him two things to work on: control and then not walking guys and getting guys out. So whatever that basically means, you suck at your job. So Devin Williams it's 100% clear for me. Do not cut. Hold him rest of season. What do you think, Britton?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And the Camilo Doval thing was strange because the game before he got demoted, there had been two separate weather delays of about 50 minutes to an hour each. So so everybody's screwed up. All right. So DJ Hers went 2 innings and went on a rain delay, came back, then got lit. You know how that works.
Yep.
So these pitchers get ramped up and then cool down, then ramped up, cool down. Everybody's timing is effed. And then on top of that, it started raining again. Everything's wet. The ball's wet. Literally, there's rain coming down while Doval's trying to pitch. And so it was 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. And Luis Garcia hits a 2-run home run to tie it. It was literally a 2-out 0-2 count. And the ball barely scraped over the left wall in left field. Yeah. And I get it. A home run's a home run. But I was like, is that really his fault? I mean, and I know it's not just one game. His whip is 1.5 or something like that. But I don't know. I'm not the manager, but it's just one of those things. That doesn't seem like a real smart move to do with. I mean, closing is already tough, and now you're going to, mess with his headspace. I don't know.
I think that was the point of them sending him down. Like I said, if you have the roster space to hold him, I would, because who's the manager of the Giants? Melvin. Is it Melvin?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So he already said that before he named, this was earlier in the day, that he wanted Walker to be like Rock Walker where he was in terms of that setup and kind of being able to use him in different spots. So writing's on the wall here. I think after probably when rosters expand, I think Doval comes up back in September, maybe even sooner than that, if he's able to prove that he's past his control issues. So I know a lot of people are going to be looking to drop Doval, and I will be one of the guys that will be picking him up and sitting on him if I need a closer. So glad to know that we agree on that, though, Britton. TM wants to know head-to-head points. Who would you rather have rest of season? Michael Busch, Rhys Hoskins, or Dezenzo from Houston? Who do you got there, Britton?
I'll probably take Busch. He bats second regularly for the Cubs, and he's been. Did you know he's out of all rookies? Believe it or not, he's still rookie. Michael Busch for the Cubs. He leads all rookies in home runs and RBIs and runs. Yes, Michael Busch having a great season. I think he's almost up to 20 home runs.
Yeah, so he's crushing it.
He's crushing it. Yeah, so I'll leave him in there. I like hitting at Wrigley Field. Hoskins is good too, and Dezenzo just came up. I actually wrote him down. I've got a couple bids out for Dezenzo. Looks like he's going to start first base every day. He's been playing well. He crushed the minor leagues too, but he only had 11 games in AAA, but he was batting 400, 4 home runs, 3 stolen bases. So this guy's got some juice. So I definitely like taking a flyer on Dezenzo, Zach Dezenzo for the Astros. Kind of put him on the bench and see what happens. But Busch has just produced all year, so I'm hanging on to Busch.
Okay. I'm going Hoskins here. I want literally any singular piece of the Milwaukee Brewers, especially after their 52 hit series against the Braves, which again, I'm going to say it again, is not getting talked about nearly enough. That is an incredible feat over a 3-game series. I actually think they broke a record for most hits in a 3-game series, especially against a team like the Braves. Give me anybody that if their name says Brewers across their chest, that's who I want. So they're just insanely hot right now. Although they did get shut out yesterday against Nick Martinez of the Cincinnati Reds, which make sense. I don't know.
What goes up must come down.
Exactly.
Know?
Yeah. I think there's going to be some games that Michael Busch probably sits against some tougher lefties, and I think Rhys Hoskins has got a pretty his spot in the lineup fluctuates. I think he hit 7th today, and he's hitting 2nd today. So, or 7th yesterday, 2nd today. So I think Hoskins it's a hair. I like Busch 2nd here by hair. It's just Hoskins for me just because of the consistency in the lineup. So, but if Busch keeps hitting this way, you're going to have no choice, especially with his spot in the lineup and how well he's hitting right now. So it's Hoskins for me, then Busch, then Dezenzo. I think in deeper leagues, I think Dezenzo is a guy that you can target. I do think Singleton probably sticks in some of those spots, though. Like, I don't think it's his job fully, but if he continues to hit, it will be, because they haven't really gotten much production out of that first base spot there in Houston.
Yeah, Singleton doesn't start at first base anymore. If he does start, it's DH, and he's only done that twice out of the last 6 games. So
there you go.
Yeah, so the first base is Dezenzo's job.
There you go. All right, you heard it here first, folks. Let's see.
Hey, I want to ask you about it. I want to ask you about a player, Mike V.
Please.
Eloy Jimenez.
Don't. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You know, he's only 27. Like, for some reason, I thought he was well into his 30s. He's only 20. Yeah, he's only 27. He's in the prime of his life. He got traded out of the White Sox. Good for him. Since he's been traded to the Baltimore Orioles, he's batting over 500. In the last 6 games for the O's, he's DH'd 4 of them, including righties. You know, typically they just do Ryan O'Hearn because he's a lefty bat. O'Hearn's a lefty. Jimenez is a righty. But no, they're batting him. They're finding a way to get him into the lineup. And if that means sitting Cedric Mullins or doing whatever, then that's kind of what they're looking into. And he's starting today, I believe, batting 5th or 6th for the Baltimore Orioles. So what are we doing? Are we? I mean, Eloy Jimenez is probably on your waiver wire.
Yeah.
And if you need batting average and want a little production, and you're not into Alex Call or whoever else, and you just want a veteran in the middle of a good lineup, Eloy Jimenez might not be a bad little sneaky $1 bid. What do you think?
I don't think that's a bad call at all. I was joking a little bit.
I don't want that broken down old busted Eloy Jimenez, but I guess I am.
Yeah, I don't think the talent has ever been in question for me. I love Eloy Jimenez, and do you know where he started his? And this is I'll leave it up to the chat here too. Where did Eloy Jimenez start his career? Where was he drafted?
You mean where did he get drafted to? I have no idea. That's a great question. I have no idea.
I'll leave it to you.
I assume he defected from Cuba or something and came over and started with the White Sox.
Yeah, he did not actually start with the White Sox, but I will leave it to you guys here.
I see what it is in the chat. Yeah,
chat.
That's right. I remember now. I remember that trade.
Yep. Yeah. So, anyways, I'd like that call. I don't think, like I said, I don't think the talent has ever been in question for me. Obviously, we all know. I don't need to say this. If you play fantasy baseball, you know this. It's like death and taxes here. Eloy Jimenez is just is a ticking time bomb waiting to get hurt again. He's a legit hitter. He's really good. But he's already said, like, this is another thing that kind of chapped my ass here when Elias traded for him. Jimenez has already come out and said, like, hey, my hamstring's not 100%, so I can't play the field. I don't know if that's I don't want to play the field, but he just again he's playing hurt right now. We traded for a hurt player, so but he's hitting right now, and you can't
got him for nothing though.
We did, yeah. And again, he's only 27, 28 years old. That's
27 years old, 27 years, 7 months. He's got his whole life ahead of him. I remember, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but I don't know why. I mean, I admit every other dumb shit I do, but I used to get him confused with Yoan Moncada. They're on the same team. They kind of look like, I was like Yoan Moncada had a lot of buzz coming from the Red Sox, remember? And so I was kind of like, is Eloy? I was like, I kind of always got them confused for some reason. Huh. But Yoan Moncada's gone now too, right? He's not on the White Sox.
He's there.
Is he?
Yeah, he's there. He wants to play.
I pay zero attention to that team.
Neither do I. Yoan Moncada was my love shot. I loved him coming. I liked him prior to coming over to the White Sox. Another guy that was changed colors with Boston when he's part of that Chris Sale deal. I loved him when he was with Boston. He was arguably my favorite prospect. Him and Evan Longoria were my 2 favorite prospects in my lifetime so far. And even when I started paying attention to prospects, it was those 2 guys. But Yoan Moncada has just same thing. Can't stay on the field. He's just always hurt. And I like the Eloy Jimenez deal. pickup call there, but if I would just be willing and be ready to pivot when he does inevitably get hurt again. So, but I want to say one other thing with the O's real quick. Can we please stop playing Austin Slater? Like
he's in the lineup today. I put a little bet on him to get a hit.
Why? Like I know we got him. I'm like, all right, we can get rid of Faucher. Like maybe he's just like a depth piece. But
it's so funny you mentioned that. I bet on Austin Slater to get a hit today. I'm not kidding. Jeffrey Springs is a lefty. Man. Yeah, I was like, it was a decent price. I was like, yeah, why not? I mean, I think he's batting like 6th. He's not even batting like 9th or whatever you would associate him with. I was like, yeah, I'll put a little sprinkle on Austin Slater. It's funny you mentioned that. So who's the player you dislike the most on your Baltimore Orioles?
Oh God,
Craig Kimbrell, Eloy Jimenez, or Austin Slater?
It's Craig Kimbrell. I'm sorry. It's still Craig Kimbrell. I don't know if I ever told anybody this, and if I did, I apologize. I played in a tournament one year when I was 13. Craig Kimbrell was in the same tournament, so I played in a tournament with him. He actually played shortstop, wasn't a pitcher at the time, and gave pitching a shot later in his career. But so I played with him in a couple games. Anyways, long story short, the Slater thing for me doesn't make sense. You know, we pinched hit. We said, hey, Jackson Holiday, let me put that bat out for you. Dunk that in some water. I know you're super hot, but hey, Austin, grab a bat. We want you to hit for the scorching hot Jackson Holiday. We did that in the game like earlier this week. And I'm like, what
read about
fuck
that.
is going on?
Yeah, that was a stupid bet on my part because he'll probably get pinch hit for at some point when Springs gets
lifted,
pulled. Yeah. God, I need to go. I need to look at my DraftKings account and see if I can get out of that bet. You know, sometimes they let you cash out.
You just got to hope that he gets a hit in his first or second at bat, or maybe his third. It depends on how well the O's are playing or how well he's hitting. But
I did it just for kicks. I was like, Austin Slater. I was like, why not? Why not?
You probably got some good juice on that too.
And I always got my Mariners in case I need to later tonight.
Did you buy that shirt because they got you out of the doghouse?
I've had this shirt for years. I bought it. I bought it because many years ago when COVID hit, the season started late, and I was so jonesing for baseball. I bought a computer game called Out of the Park Baseball, and it's like a baseball simulator. And then I also had the show, on PlayStation. So I had all these baseball games going just to try to. And my team on that game was the Mariners, and I don't know if you've ever played it, but OOTP.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah, it's like minor league systems of all the teams. Like you control all that. So I got to know the Mariners really well, and all those players. So I became because I don't have a team. I mean, I love baseball. I love all baseball teams essentially. But I was like, so I kind of adopted the Mariners.
There you go. I always say to people who ask me who my college football team is, because I didn't go to a big school. I didn't go to a team that even had football. We had club football. I always say my favorite college football team is the one that's winning me money, baby. So I'm sure you're in the same boat with baseball.
Yeah, 100%. I love my fantasy teams. I love playing fantasy baseball. I love going to games, but I wish Nashville would get a team. That would really make me.
That's not out of the question. That's not out of the question, dude. There been talks about them expanding the game and adding 2 more teams, one being in Vegas and I think another one being in Nashville. I think that's been talked about. So
yeah, Vegas gets all the good stuff. They get the football team. They're just taking everything from Oakland.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're just annexing all Oakland stuff. I guess Oakland doesn't mind.
Yep. Pistol RX. We talked about this earlier in the show. Pistol, I don't know actually you may have been around when we were talking about it before. I'm personally holding Camilo Doval because I do think he'll be back. I think the Giants want him to be the guy. He's got the talent for it. Ryan Walker, they've already come out and said that they prefer him in the kind of the mix and match role, if you will. But Britton, any strong thoughts here on Doval?
No, I'm hanging on to him. Unless I have to drop him.
Sure.
So yeah, obviously he's sent down to AAA. I don't have any idea how long he'll be down there. Maybe it's the rest of the season, maybe not. But the San Francisco Giants aren't out of it, right? No. I don't think they're out of it.
They're in the thick of it, dude.
So this could be a situation where he's down for a week or two, kind of put him in his place or get his mind right, and then he's back up in a couple weeks. Like, that's a distinct possibility. So I would keep him because he was a saves leader last year, and I know it's had a tough year this year, but that just happens when you're a closer. That's just how it goes,
Name of the game.
So that position is so volatile.
Yep.
So right, long story short, I'd hang on to him if I could, but if you got to drop him, you got to drop him because there are guys like closers you can churn and burn. Like, you can go get Calvin Faucher for Miami. He had 2 saves this week.
I picked him up on Monday morning, and I've been reaping all the benefits. And he pitched a scoreless 9th. They went to extra innings, and San Diego ended up pulling away. But I like Faucher. Man. He's been good. And he can slot him in as an SP. Chad says Muncy's return is sketchy because Edman is also looking good. I don't think that's going to hurt Muncy whatsoever there, Chad. I think Muncy's a guy they're going to slot probably in the 5 spot immediately when he's ready to play. He'll probably get spelled a couple times, but I think Edman's, Biz already mentioned it. Edman's going to be playing center field. I think that's probably a strong call there. Muncy's not losing any playing time to anybody. He's one of their staple guys there. Maybe in the beginning they probably mix and match some guys to may not to put too much pressure on him and not obviously have his oblique flare up again. But if Muncy's back, he's playing.
Hey, Mike, your audio is glitching a little bit. It's been doing it for excuse me, for a minute or two. I don't know if there's anything to be done about it. I was hoping it would just even out, but it still kind of keeps going.
All right, you take control real quick. What's your thoughts on Max Muncy and Tommy Edman? I'm going to unplug and plug real quick.
Okay. I talked a little bit about Max Muncy. I think he's a great stash because he's a home run hitter who knows he can walk and he can hit home runs. So I like Max Muncy, especially if he's plugged right back into the Dodgers lineup. But now here's another player I wanted to talk about. A post hot guy is Victor Scott. Victor Scott for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's back up. He's playing every day. He's an elite center fielder, and he's actually had some pretty big hits for the St. Louis Cardinals this past week. He's got elite speed. He went down. He had a terrible start to the season, so he went down. They've been incorporating a leg kick to his batting stance, and it looks to be working. He had a home run this week. He does bat 9th, which nobody loves, but like I said, he's been playing well. He had a double yesterday to win the game. He might steal some bags. He might be in the conversation of a great sneaky ad. Mike V, what do you think about you sound great. Do you think anything about Victor Scott?
I think in deeper leagues, dynasty leagues for sure, and redraft, it's kind of a wait and see for me, just simply because of the fact of this is crazy too. Remember in the beginning of the season when he got called up and everyone blew their fab on him, and
everybody did.
Yeah,
yes,
I did not. And he kind of reminds me a lot like an Estuary Ruiz. Like, I don't know if you're going to get any power out of him, but like he's got elite speed. He might be the fastest guy in baseball behind Elly De La Cruz, and has potential to win in your steals category. So I don't have a lot of strong thoughts on him. Like I said, in deeper formats, maybe worth a shot on him. In 12-teamers, I'm probably still letting him. Is he playing every day?
Yeah. Victor Scott plays center field every day. With Edman gone, he's got a clear path.
Okay.
So, I like those guys where they are these elite prospects and then they fail. Like Jackson Holiday got sent down. Victor Scott got sent down, and then they come up. And people are kind of tired of it, over it, like burn me once. But then they come back and they're improved, which is what young players do. They improve. So I'll keep my eye on Victor Scott.
Here you go. Charles P says, thanks, Mike V, for the Neto call. Not looking back. Dude, Zach Neto, if he's
cranked
available,
a grand slam the other day. Loved it.
If he's available, go get him. I've been banging that drum next to Britton Doyle. I've been on the Zach Neto hype all year long. Not all year, probably about halfway through it, right around the All-Star break. But Neto is going to be – we talked about it on Friday's show. He's the quietest 2020
Mike
guy.
B, you and I talked – not to slap ourselves on the back, but we talked about Zach Neto Like I brought him up on a Fab show maybe a week or
Mhm.
two ago and said, this is the guy to get.
Yep.
So, and he's producing. So and he's going to bat second for the Angels, and he's going to play, and he's insane. Remember, I was saying about the face paint. He's a crazy man. He's psychotic.
That's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, we've been talking about him for a couple of weeks. So thank you for the shout out. Yeah, that's some picks don't work out, but that one definitely looks good.
Yeah. Michael says Jake McCarthy batting .298 with 16 stolen bases. My address is this week. I'm not really sure what that means, the address part. But yeah, Jake McCarthy's been playing better too. So somebody to take a look at. I actually prefer Jake McCarthy than I do to Victor Scott, just because simply you're going to get a little bit of power at least. He's not a power hitter, but he's been cranking him out. Britton, who do you prefer there between Jake McCarthy and Victor Scott?
I'll take Victor Scott just because the prospect stuff is so high, and he's playing well. So I'm gonna go take a shot on Victor Scott. I've never been a huge McCarthy fan. Can you talk me into it a little bit?
No,
or
I can't.
No?
I can't
Okay.
because I'm not. I think you're going to get the stolen bases out of him. Same thing like I talked about with Michael Busch. The playing time for McCarthy is kind of sporadic, and he doesn't really have a full-time gig. I know Arizona likes to mix and match a bunch of guys in the outfield, so I think you're going to get the stolen bases. The home runs are a plus, and not something he's like used to doing. A whole lot, at least. I think he gives you some, but he's not a power hitter. So the stolen bases will be there, but and the average and maybe the runs if he can improve his spot in the lineup. But yeah. TM wants to know, Britton, head-to-head points. Who would you rather have rest of the season? Lawrence Butler, Alex Call, or Wilyer Abreu?
I'm all in on Alex Call, and I would do Call first. I would do Wilyer Abreu second, and then Butler third. But Butler's shooting star is burnt out. So I hope you got those stats while you could. But Alex Call is the new shooting star. So get on board. Literally multi-hit games, 2 or more hits in 5 straight games. Like you just that's just great. Like it's just great. So and he's batting leadoff for the Nats. So I'd hop on Alex Call, and Abreu is great too. He's a lefty, but he'll sit against some lefties. Yeah. So
I'm with that 100%. I agree with that. Butler for me, again, if you can in deeper formats, 14 team plus, maybe even some competitive 12 teamers, I'm still probably holding Butler just in case he figures it out. The whole Oakland offense is now starting to come down, unless your name is Brent Rooker, who continues to hit dingers. So, but yeah, I'd agree with that. I agree with that call, Britton.
Oh, last call.
Mike Pena wants to know, should he drop Orion Kiekering and James McCarthy for possibly Faucher, Urseg, Justin Martinez, or Pallazzo? I have Puck also on my roster.
Yes, 100% drop Kiekering and the United States Naval Warfare USS James MacArthur. Drop all those guys. I would drop both those guys for Faucher or Justin Martinez. I don't know much about Pallazzo. Is that a different podcast that you and Mike Govier do?
The Pallazzo podcast.
Y'all do a Pallazzo podcast?
No, I don't have much on him either. I agree with you though. Kiekering and MacArthur. I assume this is a saves and holds league. But yeah, I would go after Faucher, and I would also go get Urseg of the Kansas City Royals. I think that job is his now with Hunter Harvey hitting the IL. So those are the 2 guys that I would add in place of.
Man, can you imagine how frustrated you are if you're the GM and you trade for Hunter Harvey and then immediately goes on the IL and you're like, oh well,
yeah,
that sucks. We got
Exactly
nothing.
Right.
We literally got nothing. But that's not anybody's fault.
Yeah. Fantasy Sports says, I dropped Boz for a closer. Any concern? Concern in terms of, do I have a concern about Boz? Yes, I have concerns about Boz.
You can drop him.
You can drop him. Him and Springs for me, and he's going up against Baltimore, which is not a good matchup. Both those guys are going to take some time to find their control again, coming off of being off for so long. They just cannot, 1, put guys out, but 2, they're walking a lot of guys and giving up a lot of hard contact. I think both Boz and Jeffrey Springs are safe drops in redraft, but I would be looking to buy low on both of them next year in drafts.
Yeah, next year it's these draft guys, these stash guys like Boz, Rasmussen, Springs. I understand the theory behind it, but in reality, it almost never works out. Like Max Scherzer, like just buying injured pitchers. I mean, it's just too hard. And see, it would have been better off if you had dropped those guys for Tobias Myers a month ago. You'd be in so much better position.
Yeah,
like instead of hanging on those guys, you're like, oh, I can't drop Boz for Tobias Myers. Well, if you had, then you'd have the pitcher that has the best ERA since June. So
he's been a stud. Charles says 3 outfielder league. I have Profar, Cowser, Burleson, Chorio with J-Rod and Tyler O'Neill back this week. Which 2 to drop to activate? Oh man. I forgot. Yeah, Charles plays in a really shallow league, Britton. So I would drop off the top of my head. I mean, I would probably drop Burleson out of this group just to activate J-Rod. But man, I tried to find something else to do and to drop and try to activate Tyler O'Neill. I'd actually be okay with even dropping Tyler O'Neill of this group. I think I prefer the other guys over Tyler O'Neill, but that's just me.
No, I agree. Profar was injured for a minute. I don't know if he's 100% again, but I think you got to hang on to Profar, assuming he's healthy, because the Padres have been on the hottest win streak since the All-Star break. Colton Cowser, batting leadoff, he's been great. Burleson was hot, but he's cooled off. Jackson Churio is freaking amazing. So you got to hang on to him. So if I had to pick 2 out of this group, I guess Burleson and I guess Cowser.
Yeah, I'm cutting Tyler O'Neill and I'm cutting Burleson. So those are the 2 off my list.
Excuse me. Yeah, you're right. I'd rather drop Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah. All right, cool. Coming up on 45 minutes here in the show, fantasy. We'll get to some of y'all's questions again. I'm going to breeze through a couple of these, Britton. Let's go rapid fire. I want to get a couple of other stuff that I prepared for the show today. Fantasy Sports says he's adding on to his question. He dropped Boz for a closer. Are there any concerns with Verlander, Houck, and Jeffrey Springs in a 10-teamer? Continue to hold or drop? In a 10-teamer, I would probably look to drop all of these guys, honestly. Houck has been terrible. Verlander, I don't think is going to give you much. Maybe towards, I think they're trying to get him ready for the playoffs, honestly, him and Kyle Tucker. Jeffrey Springs we already talked about, but it would depend on who else is out there and what your other options are there. Fantasy
go get Paul Blackburn. Drop all those guys for Paul Blackburn if you can. I watched Tanner Houck the other day, and he had such a great start to the season. But I watched him pitch, and he looks literally like he's just going through the motions. He's just like throw it. And he's just like he doesn't care. I mean, he's just trying to get through the season. So he had a hot start, but maybe he's injured or something. But yeah, you can drop any of those guys for Paul Blackburn.
He says, who should I drop? Any from Springs, Verlander? Okay, for Kikuchi, I would drop any of those guys for Kikuchi.
Yeah, I would too. Kikuchi's got real upside with strikeouts and with the Astros now.
Yeah. All right. We'll get to some of y'all's questions here. Looks like you guys are all chatting here in the live chat, which is great. Keep it up. Couple other things. And UE2K, I saw your question come through, man. We'll get to it, I promise. Couple other top pitcher ads that I want to talk about. Britton already alluded to it. Tobias Myers, only 54% rostered in Yahoo. If he's out there, you got to go get him. He's a must add for me. He's my number 1 ad this week. The guy just keeps delivering out of both pitchers and hitters, mind you. Tobias Myers needs to be owned, especially if you play in the league that counts ERA and quality starts. He's must own for me. He's had the best ERA since June. Guy just keeps doing it. So we have enough of a sample size on him. I talked about Spencer Arrighetti. Gavin Williams, Britton, delivered another good game yesterday.
Yes, he did. Zero earned runs, quality start.
Right. Yep. So Gavin Williams still only 55%. His roster percentage has gone down over the last day or so, Britton. So if Gavin Williams is out there, and they talked about it yesterday during the broadcast, I watched a little bit of his start. He just needs to be better earlier on in the count and not pitch from behind. And if he does that, which he did yesterday, he's going to be a guy to watch out for in September. I think he's a guy that you can definitely go out and get and can help you out with your teams. The other 2 guys I want to bring up really quick. Urseg, we already talked about. He's the new closer in Kansas City. Go get him. And then I also like Ryne Nelson of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So he's hit a couple 9, 8, 7 strikeout games. I know he had a blow up start in between one out of those last 3, but he looked good in his last start, had 9 strikeouts. So I like him as a flyer, deeper formats. Shit, even in 12 teamers, I think he's bordering on that must roster for me.
Yeah, totally agree. And go follow us on Twitter. Go follow Mike VA and me. On July the 11th, I tweeted, you have to pick up Tobias Myers for the Brewers. July the 11th. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. Back then, he was 55% rostered in Fantrax. He ain't 55% rostered anymore, I'm willing to bet, but you have to go check and see if Tobias Myers. He's literally one of the breakout pitchers this year, behind the Brewers offense, which, as Mike V pointed out, has been nothing short of historic. So whatever is happening in Milwaukee, it's working. So
it's the beer, man. It's got to be the beer.
It's that cheese. It's the Miller Lights. It's all that Miller Light. Love you, Miller Light.
Yeah. All right, UTK. He wants to know Woods, Elliott Ramos, Neto, Cowser are available. Drop candidates are Bogarts, Abrams, Yepez, Butler, Burleson, Semien. Who should I go? For me, you're 100% not cutting Abrams and you're not cutting Semien. So I would hold those 2 guys. I would actually grab. I'm fine with cutting Bogarts. I'm 1,000,000% fine with cutting Juan Yepez. Get him out of there. Butler and Burleson too. So what is that? 3, 1, 2. I would drop those 3 for Elliott Ramos, Cowser, and oh man,
you have to pick up Neto. You have to pick up Neto, and I don't know if you have to pick up those other guys. Like Cowser was hot for a while, you know.
James Wood's looking good though, Britton. I don't know if you've seen his games, man. He's starting to tear it up. Yeah,
he is, and James Wood also he loses his rookie eligibility today because he's going to surpass 130 at bats. So. Yeah, I like that. CJ Abrams, I believe, is hurt. Like he hadn't played in the past few games. I don't know if he's going to go on the IL or not, but you want to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. I would drop Bogarts, Yepez, and
you can drop Butler. Yeah,
and Butler and Burleson. I would drop all 4 of those guys for the 4 that you mentioned, but that's just me.
Yeah, you got to get Zach Neto.
Yeah,
he's full-fledged, 100% breakout.
Yeah. Like I said, I think those guys are just I just prefer the other 4 guys over the 4 that I mentioned. So I would take all 4 of the guys you mentioned over the 4 I said to drop for rest of season.
Can you drop Semien in a 10 team?
No.
I don't think you can either. Even though he deserves it. I mean, his production.
You're stuck with him.
Yeah, I think you're stuck too. I think you just got to ride it out. It's too late, you know.
Yeah. Yep. I Bogarts and Yepez and Butler and Burleson are easy drops for me. For Woods, Elliott Ramos, Neto, and Cowser, their ceilings are a lot higher than those guys anyway, so I'm fine with dropping them. So, Britton, anybody else that you wanted to talk about? Honorable mentions for me real quick on hitters. Jake McCarthy, Perdomo, Eugenio Suarez, and Friedel in deeper formats if you need power. And then Michael Busch, we talked about already. Anybody else on your side that you want to talk about?
Well, I'll just say Uncle Ted mentions in the chat Adrian Del Castillo. Wasn't it you or Michael Govier that was all over him?
Gove, yeah.
So Moreno got injured. I don't know how long he's going to be out. But Adrian Del Castillo has been called up and will be the primary catcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he's been hitting. I think his first at bat was a walk-off home run, which is a good sign.
Like that.
Yeah, so if you got a second catcher, if you need another catcher, then he's definitely worth a look. Also, like Alejandro Kirk, if you're in a 2-catcher league, Danny Jansen got traded, so Alejandro Kirk is for the Toronto Blue Jays. Even though I've been banging on the Blue Jays all year, but he's been playing well. He's batting over 400 last 10 games, home run, 10 RBI. So, but those are all in like 2-catcher leagues. If you're in a 12 team, you don't need to worry about it. But I play a lot of 2-catcher leagues. Like I've got David Fry in one of my second catcher. I'm just,
oh boy,
I'll do anything to get out of that. But sometimes you just get stuck.
Yeah. I want to do a hold or fold segment with you here, Britton. We talked about 3 out of these guys already. We talked about Braz, Springs, and Camilo Doval already in terms of what to do with these guys. But 2 other guys I wanted to talk about. with Lane Thomas of the now Cleveland Guardians. Are we holding or folding, Mr. Lane Thomas? I've probably got this question a lot, probably all week long. His move to Cleveland has not been good. Are you keeping him, or are you dropping him?
I think you can fold him.
Yeah.
He was great in Washington, like a top 20 outfielder. But those moves can backfire too. Like for every Eloy Jimenez that gets a breath of fresh air, you know what I'm trying to say. Yep. Then the opposite can happen too. Different team, different teammates, different coaches. Does your wife and kid move to Cleveland? Probably not. So I don't know. Yeah, he's in a slump. So and then he's going to press to get out of it, and then slump worse. So yeah, you can drop Lane. I'd drop Lane Thomas for Alex Call.
Okay, there you go. I would too. The other guy on my list here, and last one here, Matt Waldron of the Padres. He went on that insane run. I don't know what to do with him simply because of the fact that he has these games where that knuckleball looks phenomenal. He doesn't have an overpowering fastball, so he's a guy like this just all the time. You don't never know what you're going to get out of him. He got rocked, looked good for the first 3 or 4 innings against the Miami Marlins, and then he just couldn't find the strike zone. So, which is easy to do when you throw a knuckleball. But are you holding or folding Matt Waldron?
I'm going to hold him because the Padres are super hot. Yep. So you've got if you're hunting for the wins, he's got a good shot at getting you a win. Obviously I keep saying that I want to pick up Paul Blackburn, but I'm not sure I would drop Matt Waldron for him. I'd try to find somebody else to drop, but if I had to, I had to. But the Padres literally are like 20-5 or whatever since the All-Star break. They're just hitting on all cylinders. So I want to keep any starting pitcher for one of the hottest teams in baseball right now.
There you go. All right, cool. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And then just to confirm, we're both holding on Doval, right?
I'm holding on Doval. He had a very, very successful year last year. One of the top 5 closer in baseball. He was an all-star. For whatever reason, I know he walks too many people, and they sent him down. I wish they didn't. I have him in many leagues. I wish they just said, okay, here's the 7th. But but that's not how they looked at it. So hopefully it's a couple weeks. But if they need him, Mike V, I just can't imagine the thought process of sending down an elite closer who's hit a rough spot down to AAA to work on things. Give me a fucking break, man. I mean, it's got to be like a disciplinary thing that we don't know about or something like that.
I think
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I think they just got tired of him. And to be honest, and like I said, I think they still want him to be the guy. There's probably something going on behind the scenes, because I agree with you. I think that a good point that you made earlier is you want him to work on control and getting guys out and things like that. But then at the same time too, you're probably also crushing his confidence, which you need as a closer. One of the best things that managers do when guys are going through rough patches is they say, hey, he's still my guy. The O's are doing it with Craig Kimbrell. He's still their guy. And Hyde said yesterday when Sir Anthony Dominguez got the save, that he was toying with it, but he's like, hey, I just want to give Craig a break here. I know he's been going through a rough patch. I want him to work on some things. He actually said that in the post game and said, he's still our guy. I'm not moving on from him. Yeah, I felt like the Giants should have done the same thing.
You don't pull your support away from a struggling superstar. You double down on support. Exactly. Yep. You say all the right things. The team has billions of dollars. Go hire a sports psychiatrist. I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso. They did that. No. And I'm not making light of it. Look, what you don't do is you don't send him down. So what now? He's going to go ride the bus and your AAA affiliate? What? Why? What are you doing? Right. I don't, dude. I'm like getting angry about it, which is ridiculous. What's more ridiculous? Me actually getting mad about something that has no effect on me whatsoever, or them doing what they did. I don't know. It's completely stupid.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, I want to give Bizza some time here because he's been blowing up the chat with Matthew Boyd. Go ahead, Bizza, make your case, my friend. What's up with Matthew Boyd? I don't know anything about him, honestly. In terms of, I know I know he's a pitcher. I know is he activated this week? Like, why are we high on Matthew Boyd?
Wasn't he with the Detroit Tigers and had
Yes.
like
He's with
was like a
Cleveland
rookie
now.
of the year or something? Or am I getting my?
No, you're 100% correct. He's with Detroit. He's actually in his player profile for Yahoo, still wearing a Detroit Tigers cap. So apparently, from RotoWire, he dazzled in his latest rehab start. No walks, 6 scoreless innings, struck out 7. So
all right, let's go.
Carrasco looks like he is being placed on the 15-day IL, so he might come up and pitch for them. But I will note, AAA is a lot different ball game than the majors, my friend. We've seen that with hitters. He's only 2% rostered in Yahoo. I think in really, really, really deep leagues, you could probably go look at Matthew Boyd. But Bizza, make your case for him, man. Any strong thoughts on him?
I mean, it's intriguing. Obviously, if you got a pitcher that's playing well and he's coming up and he's got kind of a track record, I'm always on the lookout for that. So Matthew Boyd for the Cleveland Guardians. Take a little peek, and hit his player page and see what you can find out about him. But he definitely wasn't on my radar at all. But I'm glad they brought him up in the chat. So
yeah, he's not officially called up yet. I think that's going to be the move. But Cleveland will Cleveland, so who knows?
Cleveland wins games, so that's sneaky.
Real quick, I want to get to a couple of these other questions. Eddie says, your thoughts on these free agent pitchers in my league. Albert Saurez, Bowden Francis, Fulmer, Pallazzo, Nick Martinez, and Davis Martin. This must be a deep league.
Yeah, Saurez for Baltimore has been pretty good. I would put him number 1. Nick Martinez had a great start.
He's been great over the past month, Britton. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, Nick Martinez has been great over the past. He was with the Padres, now he's with the Reds. Carson Fulmer has been kind of good too. Sneaky, not a huge stuff guy, but for the Angels, he's actually been playing pretty well. Davis Martin, wow! Now there's a blast from the past from a couple years ago. He played well for his last start with the White Sox was pretty decent. But it's the White Sox, so that's kind of that's not a great situation. But out of all these guys, I would do Saurez would be one of the guys I target. What do you think? Because he's got a spot in the rotation now in Baltimore, doesn't he?
Yeah, especially with guys getting hurt. Grayson's going to be out. If you have Grayson Rodriguez, he's a safe drop. I don't think he comes back until late September. They've already said that they're going to be careful with him. And late September looks like the go here with Grayson. They want him ready for the playoffs. Between me, for me, it's between Nick Martinez and Saurez. I give the slight lean to Saurez, but it's really close between him and Nick Martinez. I'm actually going to be putting in some bids for Nick Martinez just because I need a starting pitcher, and he's been ultra hot and looked good against the hottest team in baseball. So that has my attention. Nick Martinez and Spencer Arrighetti are guys and Tobias Myers. Those are 3 guys I'm going to be looking to acquire across all of my leagues. So
remember when Bowden Francis was like super hot in spring training? Do you remember? Yes. And he secured a starting rotation spot for the Blue Jays.
Yep.
Been kind of rough ever since.
Yeah. Business says, give me Boyd over Molly and Springs. Well, should be activated this week. So should and will are completely different things, Business. So until that happens, I'm still going with Molly and Springs. But if you're looking to take a flyer, I could see that happening. I wouldn't mind either of those moves, especially over Molly. I don't have any interest in him this year. Springs, same thing. Boyd might be a good replacement.
Molly's got a tough schedule. He's at Boston and then Minnesota. I don't know.
Yeah. And same thing with him. Like how much longer are they going to let him pitch? Because Texas is not playing for anything.
Are they? Obviously, they're out of the division, but they out of that far out of the wild card?
Question. Let me look. I don't think they're. I want to say no, but I could be wrong. That's been known to happen a couple times, Britton. Texas is officially 9.5 out from the last wild card spot.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. In the division, where are they at? I think they have a better shot at winning the division. Yeah, they have a better shot at winning the division. They're 6.5 out for the division. So, yeah. I just don't see them making the playoffs.
It's just that post World Series hangover. Marcus Simeon's having a terrible year.
Yeah.
Corey Seager's been okay, but that's kind of it. Adolis Garcia, where the hell's he been? I have no idea.
It's been such a terrible, terrible year for Texas, them and Atlanta. I know Atlanta's had been bitten by the injury bug, but I know Matt Olson is starting to turn it around as well. But like Austin Riley hasn't been good. Michael Harris has been hurt. Albies has been hurt. It's been a terrible nightmare for fantasy baseball this year. Business says Boyd over Martinez, Mike VA. Yeah. I mean, but for me, Martinez is currently playing in the majors, so give me the guy that's up in the majors right now. Until that happens, and I see it from Boyd, and at the major league level, it's not even close for me. Martinez. I know Boyd's been pitching well in the minors, but let's see how he does against major league pitching. Star Platinum, he's been in the chat. I want to get him on here. Next year Springs, this year Molly. Okay, gotcha. I say she's saying next year Springs is the guy, this year Molly's the guy. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, those are definitely good points to make. Is keep your Springs is definitely a guy to look in. Assuming he finishes this year healthy, like Springs, Rasmussen, all those guys. You just want them to get some work in so they come in healthy next year, and then snatch them.
Eddie brings up a good point. I mentioned this in the Twitter spaces too. I personally don't think DeGrom is pitching this year. That's just my personal take. If he does, it'll be a couple innings here and there just to get his beak wet. But I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant rest of season. I think if you're holding on to him, I think he's a safe drop. I don't know how many innings they let him throw because again, noting that his injury. And this is just my take. I don't have anything. I have some pretty actually hard stats to back this up with. Not really stats, but opinions here. He's been hurt for so long in his entire career. Texas is obviously flirting with not making the playoffs. Why would you throw a guy like Jacob deGrom, Britton, out there for the last month of the season, noting his injury history, coming off Tommy John? Wouldn't you rather have him ready for next year?
I think if he's able to pitch, if he's healthy, then you let him pitch at the end of the year, to kind of keep his mind right, keep him keep him around the fellas, keep him going, keep his spirits up. Yeah, I think you let him pitch if he's healthy to do it. I mean, you're not going to let him go 6 innings or anything crazy, but yeah, I think you let him pitch in the big leagues to get him confident going into next year. But that's mostly just like sports psychology stuff. I mean, obviously the Rangers have a very, very small chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they don't need to push him. But yeah, when he's been rehabbing for a year and a half, he wants to play. He's like, I don't want to go to the stupid gym every day and get hooked up to the computers and throw this against a backdrop. Like, I'm tired of it. These are professional athletes, man. They want to compete. I don't. I want to go take a nap on the couch. Yeah. Yep. But then I'm not a highly paid athlete either. So so I'd say let him compete.
Yeah. Do you think he'll be fantasy relevant though? Like, do you think Jacob deGrom actually? Yeah. Okay.
No, that's a great point. I agree. No, I don't think so.
Joe Chris, this is something to end on here, Britton. Between Birdsong and Phillips, he lost 12 points. God, but I still like you guys. Don't worry. Thank God we can sleep at night now. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, Joe. So it's not every one of these is going to work out, unfortunately. But
I wish it did.
Yeah. We should shouldn't we do that? Maybe hold ourselves a little. I don't know if you ever go back and like listen to these. Do you ever like write down? I mean, write down the players we talk about. What's our hit rate? Does anybody know?
I don't know. We're going to go back and do that, though. I think we did that last year's show, like where we went wrong. And just off the top of my head, I was wrong on Noelvi Marte. That was number one. I said he would be a league winner on Triple Play Pod.
We always remember the ones we get wrong. We never remember the ones we get right. It's like when you play poker for. You never remember the time that you got the third 3 on the river. You only remember the time the other guy got the third 3 on the river.
Exactly. Well, I made this point on Friday or last Friday. I can't remember. Some of my most liked tweets on Twitter, and I'm not kidding. It's not like just by a little bit. It's by a lot. When I go out and say that I'm wrong or like, I screwed up on this guy or whatever, people love that shit. They're like, oh yeah, thank you for owning
accountability.
Your shit, yeah, they love it, man. All right. Britton, any final words before we get off the air here and enjoy the rest of our weekends?
No, not at all. Just thank you again, everyone for coming to the chat and watching. We love it. We love y'all. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending your time with us and talking a little fantasy baseball. And it's a blast. And we wouldn't do it if it wasn't for the great the viewers and listeners. So I don't think we say that enough. Frankly,
Yep, I agree
like how much we do appreciate it and how much we like it, and how much we love the chat.
Yeah, 100% spot on. We wouldn't have this show wouldn't be around if it wasn't for you guys. I echo what Britton just said. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate getting my balls busted just as much as the next guy does too. So hey, if I'm wrong and just like Joe said, if I gave you wrong advice and you took it, my bad. But I appreciate you guys still coming here and also listening to us and obviously taking us up on and trusting us with your fantasy team. So I appreciate that. And if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you're following us at the Pallazzo Podcast, Twitter, get in the Discord, like and subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us here in these yellow bubbles. These are our Twitter handles. I'm at _Mike VA. Britton's at. There we go. I finally got it right the first time.
There you go. Yeah,
it's never
the way you think. Like you go this way and it's that
opposite.
Way.
Yeah,
right. Up is down, black is white.
Yeah, at Britton Allan, 2 T's, 2 L's, and then obviously MJ Govier for Michael, and then obviously for Sam FBB1 and Robbie Baseball 1, and Ben Chase, Big Gentle Ben. Make sure you follow the whole crew. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for Monday's show. I believe they're going to do Britton a like a AA, AAA guys that can make maybe an impact down the stretch for fantasy baseball. So. Here's
rosters will expand sometime in the near future. I mean, we're already August 11th.
Yep, it's coming up.
So
coming up. Eddie says we have to help you get more subscribers. Please do. We would greatly appreciate it. Our quest to 1,000 is ongoing. Once we get to 1,000, we start unlocking some shit, some real funny, crazy shit too. So we got more dick and donut jokes for you. Everything gets amplified when you hit 1,000 subscribers, apparently. So make sure you guys do that. Help us out. Steal everybody's phones. Subscribe to the YouTube channel there. Britton, as always, my friend, thank you very, very much for joining. I love doing the shows with you, man. It's highly entertaining. And I also get a lot of good guys to pick up from your end too. So you definitely help me out with my teams for sure. So
last call.
There you go. Alex Call, baby. Make sure you guys go get him. You heard it here first from Britton. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week. Make sure you guys tune in Monday, Friday, Sunday next week. We'll see you guys then. Have a good rest of the Sunday, Britton, and everybody else. You as well. Bye.